folks, Ardwulf here. Today we're going to unsleeve or unbag the latest ASL product from Multi-Man Publishing. This is ASL Action Pack number 18. This is the Oktoberfest 38 pack. And for those who don't know, ASL Oktoberfest is an annual event held in Cleveland, Ohio. It actually just ended as of this recording, after which MMP put up this for not really pre-order, it's just available, but there's a 30-day window in which to get it at a discounted price. It's 2 maps, 14 new scenarios for ASL. So without further ado, let's unwrap it and see what we got here. Firstly, we get a cover sheet, which contains credits on the back, and of course the individual scenarios will also have credits. So Action Pack 18 includes a cover sheet, a back cover sheet, 2 8 by 22 inch ASL maps, number 91 and 92, and 14 new ASL scenarios, which are AP 191 to AP 204. AP just means they're action pack scenarios as opposed to like core module scenarios. So, scenario designed by Pete Schelling and Bill Sisler, map designs by Bill Sisler, map art by Charlie Kibler, and cover art by Nico Escubi. I regret to have to say that Bill Sisler, who is a friend of mine, is no longer with us. That's actually one big reason why I picked this pack up. Because I wanted to get more of Bill's fine scenarios. Bill had done a lot of different ASL scenarios over the years. Tragically and fairly suddenly passed away from cancer, I want to say in 2021. So we are sorry to see Bill go. So we've got these 2 maps, one of which is a wooded hills type of thing. I think maybe this is something else. I'm not sure what this terrain type is, to be completely honest. And then a village or town board. Scenarios starting out, East Wind, which is in Russia in 1941, in December of 1941. Looks like we've got the German 258th Infantry Division, along with some Soviets out of the 33rd Army. And this is a Bill Sisler scenario, and it's 3 maps here, including a B map, or a Q map, which I take to be a starter kit board, but this is not a starter kit scenario. On the back of that, we have 192 Brush Off. Designer here is Pete Schelling, who's another local Clevelander, as I recall, and who I'm sure I've met, but I don't have I can't picture his face in my head, so I assume that to be the case, but Pete, if you're watching, I apologize. And this here is Guadalcanal, 19 August 1942. Looks like we've got 1st Marine Division versus some Japanese infantry from the 28th Regiment. Pacific scenarios, always popular. Hit It and Quit It. Scenario designed by Pete Schelling. This is Slovakia, 26 September 1944. And it's Slovakian partisans versus Germans in this case. And it's a very small corner of one map and a pretty small scenario at that, with what looks like some German trucks are the only vehicle. Other than that, this would be a pretty good introductory or early scenario experience, let me put it that way. On the back, we have Not Fade Away, Pete Schelling, designer. Lemberg, France, 9 December 1944. Vosges Mountains, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name, so I could be wrong about that. Germans and Americans over here. Next up, we have Break In on a Rollbahn A. This is going to be, Rollbahn A is going to be a Battle of the Bulge type of thing, 17 December 1944. So very early on in the Bulge, relatively early on in the Bulge anyway. And of course, here you have Germans and Americans, 6 turns. And part of 2 boards. Silver and Bronze, a Bill Sisler scenario. 3 boards and some overlays here. Once again, 6 turns. And you've got Germans and Americans. And this is in Luxembourg, 19 December 1944. So another Battle of the Bulge scenario. And we've got here 26 Volksgrenadier from the Germans, and some elements of the 28th Infantry Division, along with the 707th Tank Battalion and the 44th Engineer Combat Battalion. Next up is Killer Cats and Easy Eights. This is in Belgium, 30 December 1944. So I'm seeing a lot of Bulge stuff in here. Bill Sisler scenario, once again, 6 turns. Americans versus Germans, and in this case, we've got American 11th Armored Division, Combat Command B, and elements of Führerbegleit for the Germans. So this is an all armored vehicle scenario, which is also interesting. Here on the back of that, we have 198. This is Hasselt at Hasselt, Bill Sisler's scenario, 12th February 1945, so well after the Bulge, and in fact, this is after Operation Veritable. 7 turns here, Germans versus British. You will, of course, need to play all the scenarios in the action pack from what I'm seeing. You will, of course, need Beyond Valor, which contains the Germans and the Soviets. You will need Yanks, which contains the Americans. You will need For King and Country, which is the current module that contains the British. And I'm not sure where the Slovakians are going to be completely honest about it. Next up, we have Nord's End, scenario 199, a Pete Schelling design, Waldenburg, Germany, 2 April 1945, Germans versus Americans, 7 turns. The back of that, we have Truykov's Revenge. This is going to be East Front, very, very late East Front, 29 April 1945. It's on about half of a 2-map arrangement. This is 8 turns, Germans and Russians, obviously, and we've got some armor and guns in here as well. Goodbye Geishas. This is North Korea. Is this a Korea scenario? Yes, it is a Korean War scenario. So here we have the Americans versus the North Koreans, 23 July 1950. This is a Pete Schelling scenario, decent-sized little scenario, but it's all on one board, and 7 turns here. Little Rat, a Pete Schelling design, Kumcheon, South Korea, 1950, July 1950, and again, it's Americans versus North Koreans, unsurprisingly. The Walled City, another Korea scenario, 5 September 1950, Americans and North Koreans, 6 turns, and we got 2 boards here. Are these the deluxe boards? It looks like they are. I think those are deluxe boards. I could be wrong. And then Southside Seesaw by Pete Schelling, Chilgok, South Korea, 13 September 1950. We've got 2 boards here. Maybe the lowercase letters are, I was remembering them as being the starter kit boards, but there's some iconography here with the dots and the roads that I don't really recognize, to be honest. Maybe I need to play more ASL. That's definitely true. North Korean versus Americans, and we got 6 turns here. And then, of course, we got the 2 boards as we saw. So the latest in ASL technology here in ASL Action Pack number 18. 2 maps, 14 scenarios. All the scenarios were designed by either Pete Schelling or Bill Sisler. And certainly the maps are things that you could use elsewhere. And I mean, we're talking about folks going to Oktoberfest are the deep end of the ASL pool anyway, right? Yeah, these are mostly pretty serious individuals. And that is undoubtedly why there are some things in here that I simply do not recognize. And I don't think they're all associated with the Korea scenarios either, so which is something that I have, thank you John Longshore, but I haven't really looked at. So hopefully you've enjoyed this very brief look at the contents of the ASL Oktoberfest 37, I think I said 37 before, Action Pack number 18. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If so, please subscribe to the channel as well for more Wargames stuff. I don't do a lot of ASL, but part of that is because, A, I don't get to play it. I haven't played it in 3 or 4 years at this point. And there's plenty of other content creators on YouTube that are doing ASL content all the time, so check them out. If you would like to help support the channel, please check out the links in the video description to the Patreon, the merch store, and some other things. Thank you, patrons, without whose support and encouragement it would be impossible to continue doing the stuff that we do here in Ardwulf's Lair. So thank you, patrons. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, happy wargaming.